Me
All
too.
right, everybody, welcome. Let's get going. Tesla just hit all-time highs. We got the Cybertruck being approved in China. Of course, we already forgot that Tesla dropped demos of Optimus. GM is now no longer going to fund Cruise. There is so many stories to go through here today. Let's start with the all-time high. How are you guys feeling about that, and what's your thoughts?
Well, I'll be honest, I didn't think it was coming this quick. I think Nick probably did because he said some things that would lead me to believe that he was convinced that all-time highs were coming. This has been a pretty good run. What's it based on? I know there were analysts who just recently said, you know what? We went ahead and experienced FSD ourselves, and I'm going to upgrade the stock. You what? You've never looked. These people, I swear. Are they lazy? Are they spread too thin? Or is it just incompetence? Mix of all three, I think. So, congratulations to all the holders. Your faith has been rewarded. And now you don't get to complain that you didn't do well. If you hold at this point, it is your decision. Come on, man. What do you think, Nick?
I think a lot of thoughts here, Brian. Let me try to put them in order. So first and foremost, congratulations to everybody who's held, everybody who went through everything. Not just last 3 years, but just over the course of the entire time holding Tesla. I know some of us held longer than others, but it's a moment worth taking note, celebrating, looking back, and understanding that you weren't crazy all along. When everybody told you you were crazy, you weren't. And the beautiful thing about today is that no matter who you are, no matter where you bought, as long as you held, you are no longer down. So that's a beautiful thing. Now, my bigger thought, and I feel like I'm the bear for some reason, but I just can't help but stress that people need to be careful. I do think that we have run too far, too fast, and it's not just Tesla either. I think the market needs a healthy pullback. And I think as Tesla investors, while this is fun to see the all-time high and it's exciting and it feels like finally, we need it to pull back so that this cannot be a blip and then all of a sudden we tank again, right? Like we want to see a healthy pullback. I mean, you can even see in the chart there where we have ran up, even in those run ups, we had little pullbacks along the way. Those weren't actually straight up. And so I just think, I don't know, I'm just telling people to be careful. I personally would not be deploying capital right now.
I'd be hesitant.
Well, sure, sure. I mean, we're, yes, okay. I mean, short term, it's going to go up, it's going to fall down, right? It can definitely fall down. I mean, we're looking at the last 5 days here. This is great. Look at this. Isn't it fun to look at this chart now? No matter how you look at it, 5 days, 1 month, 6 months, year to date, 1 year, 5 year backs, it's all going up. It can go up and down in the next several weeks, months, and so forth. But in general, yeah, this is the story. The story is take a look at this, right? It's fantastic. It's finally realizing that we're here. You know what I mean? Like, so you do, let me just clarify what you're saying, right? It could definitely fall. It's at all-time highs. But at the same time, right? We're headed up.
Yes, I'm just saying right now, the market, let me paint it to you a different way. Forget Tesla. Forget Tesla exists. If I were to tell you Bitcoin's hitting an all-time high, Roaring Kitty's out there posting, moving the markets again, that Dogecoin has a bigger market cap than Schlumberger, one of the biggest oil companies in the world, you would be like, okay, we're in a FOMO speculative froth period. You would. And so I'm just saying for people, again, I don't give investment advice. I'm just telling you what's going through my mind and putting it out there. This is a moment to be cautious, a moment to, if you have capital, what I'm doing, I do have capital ready to deploy, but I'm not going to deploy it here. I'm going to wait. And if it keeps running, hey, luckily I'm a long time holder. I'm fine, but I'm not going to sit here and try to chase this move up that's been parabolic. That's all I'm saying. Is take stock of not just Tesla, zoom out, look across the board what's happening.
Okay.
Yeah, I think a breather is appropriate. But, I paid so little for my shares that it's almost all these numbers for the last many years have seemed crazy to me. But I've added only a few more over the years because I'm a poor man. But all of those are now finally green.
I did hear a comment, and I'm trying to remember who said it, but they said something like, never sell when the stock hits all-time high and never buy when the stock has hit all-time low. Meaning to say that there's momentum that has happened. When it hits all-time high, it could, more likely than not, it continues going up. When it hits all-time low, more likely than not, it keeps going down. Don't just use those specific numbers. But in addition to what happened to the stock and what's been happening to the stock, though, we have real events that have been happening, real milestones, real things that are going on that continues to show that the company's improving and heading in the right direction. So that's all. I agree with you. But if you take your eye off the ball, what exactly is the stock price? You're right. That, let's not worry about that so much as progress of the product, progress of the company.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would also say, like, a lot of this move, maybe you guys disagree, but I don't think a lot of this move is actually people getting into Tesla because they believe in Tesla. I do think a lot of this move is window dressing. I think this is catch-up play. I think January could be a little sobering. And that might be when we kind of have that breather. But I think that's where we'll see what's really going on. But I mean, you see people like, well, I don't want to name names because I'm on your guys' channel, so I don't want to get you in trouble. But you see a lot of these analysts out there that all of a sudden are, I don't think they're just, oh, we all of a sudden tested FSD. BS. They've tested it. They've been in it. They're just looking for an excuse to be able to pivot. And they're finding anything they can, right? One of the most recent ones was, oh, Tesla finally said they're going to release the, 2.5 generation, whatever vehicle in the first half. Like, where have you been all year? It has literally not changed in any quarterly statements. They've been saying the same thing. So I don't know. To me, that just reeks of dishonesty, and I don't like it. Just say we were wrong. We want to get back in on this. That's it.
Nobody said that. Have they? Yeah, we were wrong.
Well, I would challenge you there a little bit. It was years after Bob Lutz left General Motors when he said, I finally got to see a Tesla in person. It was in a parking lot, and I went and looked at it. I don't see the panel gaps everyone was complaining about. The car looks fine to me. And I thought, you've been competing with this car for years, and you've never looked at one in person. So I wouldn't underestimate hubris and stupidity when they come together in a perfect storm.
Yeah, that's fair. But again, I think it's a little different when it's an analyst that covers the company itself. Like, he worked at GM. Sure, they're a competitor, but lots of other companies are competitors. And at that time, Tesla wasn't a big market mover in competition. So it would have been a little different if you said, like, I hadn't looked at a Ford. It's like, are you kidding me? Or I hadn't looked at a Toyota. It's like, all right. But at that time, but point taken, Brian, that is a very good example.
So what's in the news, Herbert? What's going on?
I mean, there's
days?
so many. So which one do you guys want to address first? Like, which one do you think was the biggest one? What I've got ready, of course, is the news yesterday about GM no longer funding Cruise. So let's take a quick look at that. You've got, I found this one, which is really nice. This is kind of a history of the things that have happened to Cruise. You can see that investment just accumulating over the years of how much money that they've been throwing at this, billions of dollars. And I think I saw another graph yesterday. Cruise is spending about $2.5 billion, like last year, about $2 billion this year, 1.7, something like that, multi-billions per year. And they had this pretty well stop. Here's their negative cash flow, right? Falling significantly down. Just they don't have enough money. Valuation popped up in 2021, obviously fell. They probably have been losing lots of key employees as well, as you know. And of course, Cruise had that major safety issue in the middle of last year, and they had to pause. The permits was suspended for a while, and then they were just coming back. So what was weird is that just even a few months ago, there was announcements like on Uber saying we're partnering. Things were happening. Elon said, achieving a general solution to autonomy is a very hard problem, especially doing so without making the car super expensive. This stat came out this morning. Almost 95% of a car's lifetime is spent parked. And Elon replied to that saying, not Tesla's. Once unsupervised FSD starts to happen next year. I mean, this is the confidence that Elon and the team is saying, that they are absolutely shooting and saying that we are going to get to unsupervised FSD next year. So GM halted funding of the robotaxi development. So don't you guys think, is this a nothing burger? Yep, it's another thing that happened in the world out there in autonomy. Or do you think that this is something that even solidifies Tesla's lead in autonomy and so forth?
I don't think it goes as far as to solidify their lead. Being the last man standing only helps if you actually achieve full autonomy. And I don't think analysts have the confidence, the certainty that Tesla is as close as some of us believe they are. So I would say that this is just generally bad news for Cruise, certainly, but a little bit of bad news for GM. But I would argue that their investors and analysts weren't assigning it much value in the first place. What became clear to me back on Autonomy Day, and really Investor Day too, is that Tesla's approach is much bigger and more difficult than anyone else's, and the results speak for themselves. It can do things without a human watching every single step in ways that the competitors just can't. So if you're going to try and copy what Tesla's doing, are you going to buy a mega cluster of GPUs? You might have to. Are you going to design your own GPU chip, your own AI inference chip? Maybe you have to, but you're not going to get 8 billion miles of data. You just can't. It doesn't exist for you.
Yeah, it's the way you frame that question, Herbert, is a little tough. I would say it's both a nothing burger and not a nothing burger. So it's a nothing burger in the sense of, look, Cruise hasn't really been doing anything for a while now. I think anybody who's actually as well versed in this space as we are, especially if you drive FSD on the regular, you already know that Tesla is in the clear lead and is I mean, I think if you use FSD on the daily, you're 99.9% sure that Tesla's going to solve this and be the leaders in it. But the reason I say it's probably nothing burger is because they haven't been making noise. They haven't been out there. They've been sidelined for a long time. The reason I say it might not be a nothing burger is because they're not exactly getting rid of it, right? They're folding it into GM. They're going to try to essentially take a Tesla-like approach. And what I kind of speculate could potentially happen, and this is assuming that GM does the smart thing. What could happen is that GM could take the Cruise team, help them bring Tesla's FSD into their vehicles, adopt it, work on it, and then at the same time, in the agreement with Tesla, say, hey, we will license this from you, but we want access to all the camera footage as well, because we're going to try to train on it and we're going to try to build our own. And that would be smart from GM's perspective because, well, potentially they could develop their own system and eventually not need Tesla. And to be smart from Tesla because, hey, here we go. We get a licensing partner and yeah, good luck with that. It could be a win-win. So I could see them using the Cruise engineers to, one, help retrofit cars or outfit new cars, and at the same time use them to try to follow the Tesla approach. But again, getting the data is only part of the equation.
So you're kind of hinting here that you think that GM is going to partner with Tesla?
I think there's a lot of conversations happening right now. I think that Cruise announcement was kind of a tell to me. I think the BMW thing was a tell. I think we know the relationships with Ford and Jim Farley. We know there's a lot going on in China. BMW also potentially means Volkswagen. I mean, there's a lot that's happening. And I think once you hear one, it's going to be kind of a domino effect. But we'll see.
Interesting.
I don't think that. I think they will say, we want the data. We want a big chunk of the revenue. And also, we want to only put it on select vehicles instead of all vehicles. And I think to all three of those, Tesla would say, no,
No.
no, we will provide this to you as a courtesy. If you, I mean, maybe a small revenue share, 10% or something, but no, it's a no.
So
Yeah.
I asked this. I did. First of all, my X account was stolen from me this morning, just a few hours ago. My fault. I fell for the stupid email. I triple checked that it was legitimate. They even sent me a verification code to my phone, and I thought, okay, this looks real, and I fell for it. So I did a post yesterday, and I did a poll, and I asked the audience here, what do you think that GM contacted Tesla before they made the decision to stop funding Cruise? And the vast majority said no, they did not. They're basically losing money. They were forced to do this, and it wasn't like they necessarily planned ahead and contacted Tesla ahead of time. So that was just the reaction by the audience.
Yeah, I think backroom conversations happen all the time. I think there are direct channels and indirect channels, and all of them are hidden from us. We know that Ford was in talks about the NACS adoption probably a year before, at least, before they announced it. It wouldn't surprise me if there are talks with a number of even big companies, very big companies, to, if it works. That's the big question. And until they can see it, I don't think they are willing to believe it. But I think if we see it rolling out by the end of next year, I think if it is out and being used, that I'd be shocked if multiple OEMs aren't already lined up at that point to pull the trigger.
So did you guys see this one? You mentioned BMW. So what happened was there was a person who posted a video of FSD version 13 doing incredibly well. A user on X came and said, hey, BMW, Volkswagen, and this other company, I can't remember which one, you guys should be listening to this. BMW actually replied to that email saying, very impressive. Tesla then comes, hey, hi, BMW, welcome. Now, you can't take this and say, oh, there's some conversations between BMW. This is just them complimenting. Hey, very impressive. There's nothing to it.
Well, and then they deleted it. That's, I think, the more interesting part of this.
It is more interesting. Agree completely.
Why did they delete it, guys? Why would BMW delete this post?
Well, my response to
was it an intern who did this? And he goes, hey, the executives and the owners of BMW going, what are you doing to our brand?
It could have been, but I think it was more like, oh no, did I say that out loud? I mean, oh, it's pretty good, I guess. I don't know. I agree with Nick. It is more telling that they deleted it than that they said it in the first place.
Yeah,
Right,
I mean, when they deleted it, I kind of took it as hey, we're not supposed to be talking about this yet. Like, don't give hint or anything like that. I don't know.
Nah, it's an intern. Yeah, there you go.
We'll all know soon enough.
BMW account got hacked. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's right.
That's it.
I mean, here's why I don't think it's nothing, right? Like, we have all the rumors about the Chinese companies. We know about the relationship with Ford. We see what's happening with Cruise. BMW account does this. Like, at what point is all this smoke not just smoke?
Good
and
point.
Are we going to stop dismissing it? I mean, maybe it all is, but it seems like we are on the precipice of a partnership announcement.
Chris from Dirty Tesla, he's one of the better known accounts that have been testing FSD very early. He's one of the early accounts that always get FSD latest. He just did a post this morning saying, we will not hear a FSD licensing partnership for like a couple of years. He goes, book it. That's his belief. So why would somebody who tests FSD so well, and by the way, in the last week with FSD 13, he's been just screaming how great it is. And yet he just doesn't think that there's going to be a partnership announced anytime soon. I don't see it. So all three of us think that it's going to happen this year, right?
Chris is wrong all the time, so don't.
Right. Yes, Chris understands Tesla's software. That doesn't mean he understands the business case of other manufacturers. But if you want me to play devil's advocate, I could say because it's too valuable. It's too valuable. When you've got something this good, maybe you don't want to share it.
What? No. Tesla's already very, very clear that they're going to. What do you mean? Elon said we're going to.
Well, I'm playing devil's advocate. I don't believe this. I'm just saying that that's a perspective that Chris might have. And yeah, you could ask him, but he'll never see the DM because he's buried by people who think they can get early access through him. Because I think Bearded Tesla guy started that incredibly terrible prank. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. So message him, guys. He'll definitely get you in.
Yeah, look. With respect to all the testers and all that, just because they're a tester doesn't mean that everything they say is right. And in fact, I would argue strongly against it. I mean, Chuck Hook still thinks that we need to have a camera, in the front bumper. I adamantly disagree with that. There's lots of software tricks you can do to not need that. You can have persistence memory on what's happening right in front of you. You only have that camera saving that. I mean, there's lots of little tricks you can do. And he talks about the cross traffic, high speed cross traffic. I go through high speed cross traffic all the time. I never have an issue with it. So, look, if we've gotten this far with software, there's nothing stopping us at this point. It's just about fine tuning. But I think to Brian's point, the goal of the company has not changed. It's to accelerate the advent of sustainable energy. And the fastest way to get more people to adopt electric vehicles is through autonomy. And so gatekeeping the FSD, when companies are willing to license it, would be counterintuitive to what their mission is. And so Elon's been very open for a long time. We'll license, you can use our patents, etc. Like, he's not here to block anybody.
Wonderful. Okay. So FSC licensing, I think we all think it's going to happen soon. FSC 13 came out, very well accepted. It looks like it's going to go. Some people are actually even asking, why have they not already today taken 13.2 and make that go wide release? It is that good. Chuck Cook is saying, and other people are saying. So do you guys think it's going to be released before the end of the year, 13.3, to at least more than just a handful of external customers?
I think 13 dot something will be released by the end of the year. I don't know which version. I think Dirty Tesla's on 13.2. Yeah. I just got 12.654, which is a slight improvement over .3. And my no write on red appears fixed. I did it once in the daylight, once in the dark, and it worked both times. Wow. So I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, I hope it goes out wider soon because it appears from everything I've heard so far to not have regressions.
Yeah, I think so too. Just real quick before I elaborate, we're on the precipice of hitting 420. So
wow. Ooh, 420.69. You got to grab that screenshot, dude.
But yeah, I think we'll get it. If we don't get it by the end of the year, it's not because there's an issue or whatever. I mean, I remember a couple months ago, people thought, "Oh, we're stuck on 12.4. Why haven't we rolled out?" It's like, people need to be patient. We'll get there when we get there. But this 420 will be pretty exciting.
Well, we're gonna have to watch it as it happens. Where are we now? 419.62. I'm using Yahoo, so that's probably not the right thing. It's 15. What do you think?
Yeah, Weeble.
I'm looking at Market Watch, and it's about the same.
I need a website though. I need a website. I can't be doing apps.
Why?
Charlie says 420. Did we hit it? Did we hit?
Charlie, we have not hit it.
I haven't seen it.
Are you looking at something?
Charlie's aspirational.
Quick? Oh yeah, 420.69. We got to watch it.
I think 420 is a resistance wall because it's such a famous Tesla number.
That would be kind of amazing, to be honest. Like, I would welcome that, to see that be the rejection. Because then we could spend the next however many days or weeks talking about, we got to break 420.
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't watched all day, but I don't think CNBC's even talked about Tesla hitting all-time highs.
Well, they don't really cover financial news.
That was
one,
good.
Brian. That's
That
good,
was
Brian.
good.
All right. Well, I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna say that FSD version 13 is gonna go wide release before the end of this year. It just at this point, I don't see anything that will stop them from doing it, and I think that just just by marketing wise, it would be good for them to be able to say something like that. That there's we're on track. Things are looking good. You can see the comments from Ashok Swami for 13 is fire. And then he even said, you haven't even seen its final form yet. Like it's that good. So we'll
Yeah,
see, right?
I suspect
Oop,
the
we're going down.
reason I suspect the reason that they haven't fully released it is I think this was more of a let's put it out there to more people than just employees and see what the impression is, how it's doing. I believe that there's going to be a higher parameter count that gets released, and I think that's probably what they're waiting for, is to make it a little more complete. And there's lots of little functionalities that weren't included in what Omar and others have, so perhaps those also get included. But I do think there's going to be a big push to get it by the end of the year. Um, I don't know how this works anymore at this point. I think it's been so convoluted and we don't get a lot of insight from Tesla, but I think a big push would be to have it by the end of the year because as far as I can tell, this would be feature complete. And so then they could recognize all FSD revenue.
Exactly.
That's a great point. Oh my
That's
gosh.
a good point. Mm-hmm.
Nothing like a couple extra billion on the books to round out a pretty good year.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt, does it?
No.
Are we going to keep watching this or should we move on? We're going to visit?
Someone will tell us.
Yeah, it's all right. It's going to do it. So don't
It's
worry
going to
about
do
it.
it. Yeah. I mean, it's funny that we are staring at the stock price, but it is fair. I will say, I think it's okay. Forgive us for people who are long-term investors. We really don't care, but we do because it has been 2-3 years, right? It's been a terrible 2 years where we saw the stock fall. It's recovering. So it's a little bit of fun. It's okay. It's okay to have a little bit of fun sometimes.
Sure.
Yeah, it's okay. Forgive us. All right. So another bit of potentially big news. I talked to Brian about this earlier, Nick. I don't know if you think this is big deal. Tesla Cybertruck has been officially registered in China. It's ready to be sold in China. This is they got approval from their government there for the Cybertruck. How do you think that that's important?
I don't know. Is that like a real approval? Like everything's done to the point where we can just start delivering? Or is this like a step along the way to getting approvals?
I think the energy sticker is the last step. I think it would suggest to me that it's already gone through homologation and is ready to go. I expect to see
Homologation? What is that?
I was thinking,
yeah, that,
homologation? What?
I don't even know how to spell that.
just like it sounds. It's when
Homolog.
yeah. It's the process by which they make sure it's certified. Safety tests and all that.
Standards. Okay.
Yes, and so that's I believe that the efficiency sticker is the very last thing that goes on it. I would love to see some really varied and robust crash tests. I'm sure that's been done. Where are they? Please, Tesla. It's been so long since that April Fool's video. We cannot wait any longer. But China is the biggest car market in the world. They overtook the U.S. in 2009 and never looked back.
But not for trucks, dude. Not for trucks. Indonesia is a bigger market than China for trucks.
Sure. So let me ask you, what kind of people do buy Cybertruck first?
Oh, it doesn't have to be truck people. You're right.
Yeah, it's anyone who wants to be seen, and that's a
cool.
big thing for auto buyers in the China market. That's why
China. Yeah, it's all about looking. Yeah, well, that's I think a human nature everywhere.
It's making a splash, and if you are have the financial means to get something like that, you will the first 1,000, probably first 10,000 Cybertrucks, you will be a rock star.
You can even say 100,000. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, this is China. Their
China is fairly big,
so much bigger than us. Like, for a while, I kind of agree with Brian that it will be a big deal in China. They forget about the truck. it's the most technologically advanced vehicle, and I think the Chinese populace tend to be way more tech forward than the majority of people in the United States. Um, it's just what I see. I mean, I bet you if you had FSD available in China, there'd be way more people using FSD in China than you have here in the States, like bar none. Even if you did like a ratio, so because obviously they have more population there, but as a ratio of the population, I guarantee you they would outstrip us by a mile, just because they like technology. They're more tech forward when it comes to the adoption, which is so weird to me. And you know who I tend to find to be the biggest laggards when it comes to adopting new tech? People who are in tech. It's the biggest irony, but they tend to be slow to adopt new tech.
Interesting. Interesting. I haven't found that to be quite as true. The majority of my viewers are retired engineers, and every one of them I meet is very tech forward and is like tinkering around with Raspberry Pis and things like that. So I don't know. It's, then again, I've met doctors who smoke, so I don't know.
So I thought I had heard somewhere that said that there's more millionaires in China than there's the population of the United States, and I guess I was wrong. The U.S. has 5.5 million millionaires. China has only 862,000. U.S. has close to 10,000 centimillionaires. China has 2,300. So I thought,
interesting.
Yeah, I thought that they were
that
already
number
there.
or what?
I am not, but if you consider how many people own a house that they bought for not very much and that is now worth more than $500,000 plus their IRA, it doesn't necessarily mean you're living the big rock star life if all your assets are tied up. So it would be, a lot of, for a long time.
$419.99.
That's it.
$419. Whoa, we just hit 420.
Yep. 420.13.
I mean, we're the
We're gonna
only
keep
ones who
running
care
today.
about 420. We're the only ones that care about 420.
No, we're not. Anyone who
Well,
owns
like-
Tesla stock cares about it.
Right. I think he
No,
means
it's
Tesla people.
It's a very specialized number that we care about. What matters was all-time high. That's what matters for the resistance level. Because all the people who bought big when it was at the all-time high, many of them might be selling now, right? They've been waiting for this day. So there's that resistance level.
That'll be tomorrow. It's tomorrow. I predict we keep high today. Maybe at the end of market we sell off, but tomorrow, going into the end of the week, into the end of the year, I think things chill out.
I disagree.
I hope you're right. Don't get me wrong. Like
I know. People always say that. I hope you're right.
Well,
Hey,
I do.
I was
You're
the one
just
that was
right.
saying. Don't forget, I was the one that was saying.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So it's
You're the one that said that we were going to get this level, and everybody at the time when we talked 3 months ago was so gloomy. Nobody believed it.
I still
Everybody
don't
was
believe it.
screaming at you, going, "There's Nick. You proved it right." But now you're saying caution, which is fair as well. I just think that we're heading into the final month of December. There's a thing called window dressing, which you explained. I'm not saying you don't know this. It is going in hard. A lot of mutual, big firms who don't hold enough Tesla are buying. They're buying it.
And how many people are being forced to cover at these prices? Surely some.
Shorts as well. Yep.
Yeah.
This is the leap was so fast. Okay, we'll see what happens. But I like this post by Paigey. Paigey said this: Tesla stock, now that it's where it is now, it's the same as it was 3 years ago, right? That's when we hit our all-time high. But since then, Tesla sold nearly 4 times more vehicles, deployed more than 2 times in energy storage, 3 times in services, more than 3 times in superchargers, 2 times in total revenue. So doubled revenue, 4 times more vehicles, 1,000 times improvement in FSD. Take rates probably 4x'd. What else do you think he's missing since that time that we hit there? I mean, I think the big counter to that was at that time, there was a lot more money flowing. Interest rates was a lot lower. So that was like investments. But people
and there were no AI plays to distract the investors. What's missing from that is that they did sell out of the little toy robots, the action figures. That moved the stock.
Yeah, Herbert. What I don't like about a post like, and I love Peggy. He's honestly a
Okay.
great guy, great heart, a great soul. Um, but what I don't like about when people post like this is you just called it out. You're leaving out the fact that revenues were higher then than they are now. Margins were better then than they are now. And that matters. Like your P&L matters at the end of the day. Um, now, again, I've been screaming against Farzad, against the Gary Blacks of the world, that I don't think you need to have it show up on the P&L to have the stock appreciate. Hence why I was so bullish on my price targets. But at the same time, we can't be blind to the fact that when we were at these levels, we had higher P&L. We had better margins. I don't think we had as clear of a roadmap. We weren't as clear on FSD as we are now. But at the same time, I think we thought that FSD was close back then. I did. I don't know if you guys did, but I thought we were getting close to the FSD. I thought we were just a couple breakthroughs away from cracking it. And we weren't.
Yeah. Agree with that completely. I think that anyone who was paying attention would have had reason to assume that margins would be compressed once the legacy manufacturers actually figured out how to get cars out the door once again, because the supply shortage was brutal. And Tesla was the one company that didn't cancel all their parts orders, and that bumped them all the way to the top of the priority chain. So when the factories reopened, Tesla was back at it as quick as they could go, and others were stuck filling grass fields with pickup trucks because they were missing the logo on the front of it. It was pretty ridiculous. So I don't think that investors were necessarily thinking as far out as you and I might have been. But like you said in the show last week, if you'd have told me what Tesla's road would have been over the next few years and and asked me which direction the stock was going, I'd have said up. But it didn't. It went down and then sideways, and here we are, right back where we started.
Yeah. And Herbert, one other thing that's not on that list that's, again, like, he's right about everything he's writing. He's not wrong. It's just I just want to make sure we are being intellectually honest about the whole picture, right? So it's easy to be bullish and all that and only talk about the good stuff, but during that time, we also had a huge backlog of deliveries and wait time. Remember, it took like 6 months to get your Tesla if you
Yeah.
ordered.
Yeah.
That also had a big impact on the stocks. Like, oh my God, we can clearly see the demand is so far out. Like it was Nvidia style, right? Demand is essentially limitless. Now we're at a different point, right? And some things that haven't changed is that now we have to discount. The auto market in general is very challenged. And say what you want. I'm the first one to admit who cares about deliveries. I'm the first one to admit that none of that matters. FSD autonomy is what matters. But again, being intellectually honest, I'm not unaware of where we get the food on the table. And the food on the table comes from selling vehicles, decent margins, and we need to have good volumes,
Okay.
and we need to have
Then-
growth in that to continue moving
Yeah.
forward. So
And
I'm just trying to stay
I'm
balanced.
Yep. No, thank you for that. But I'm going to carry on that point and press you a little bit because what I'm going to say actually came from you, right?
Embarrass me in front of my friends.
Yeah, you know this too. So, okay, what's about to happen in the next 6 months? Let's just talk strictly car sales. Number one, you agree that if FSD version 13, just its current version, goes out wide, that's going to increase FSD uptake in FSD revenue, just FSD, not Robotaxi, and that's going to add to margins. So in Q1, when they report the margins, there's a high chance that that's going to show up. All of a sudden, we're back to margin growth.
Maybe.
Step one. Step two, back to vehicles. Oh my gosh, what's about to come? Multiple vehicle unveils. New segments going to be addressed. Big ones. This is the lower cost vehicles. Everything we heard in the last couple of weeks, month, is saying that everything is on track. We're hearing rumors that these things are all on track. So what's that going to do? Back to the vehicle story again, when you've seen growth again coming back.
So let me speak to those individually. So your first point as far as the margins FSD uptake. Do I agree with you that 13 will probably increase FSD adoption? I do. Can I quantify it? No. Do I know when it'll be represented on the P&L? No. Do I know when it'll affect margins? No, I don't. So I can't quantify it. So I can't speak confidently about it. What's my gut say? Like I know for a fact 13 will at least create one more FSD adoption. Bar none. I would bet my entire net worth on it. But that's all I can do. I don't actually know the numbers. And then your second point, as far as the rumors about things being on time and all that, I don't know a single rumor that I've heard that was right and on time when it comes to Tesla. The Highland wasn't, the Juniper wasn't, right? Were the rumors had kernels of truth? Yes. Were the rumors right about when and how and why? No, they weren't. But there was substance to those rumors. And in general, Tesla isn't Apple. They do tend to be late at least by a month. So, I mean, we can play this back and forth all day. In the bigger scheme of things, I agree. Who cares? It's going to happen in 2025. If they're saying it's going to happen in the first half of 2025, I think it happens in 2025, period. So that's how I look at it. But Brian,
I would address that real quick by saying if you don't think that Highland came out exactly when the rumors said, you weren't following me at the time, because I had a very good handle on when it would be, and I would say I was about exactly correct. Get better rumors is what I would say. But I had a number of people who had shared with me insights from within the company and from companies outside the company that work with them, suppliers. I no longer have a Bob from Bob's Bibs and Bobs, but I did at the time, and he showed me parts, physical parts. So I was able to get a pretty good guess on that. In terms of the new models, I'm just kind of done speculating. I'll wait and see what we get and when we get it. I think making new vehicles out of the parts bin from the 3 and Y would be something that Tesla could do reasonably quickly, cheaply, and effectively. But I'm not banking on it. I see 2025 as a gap year while we're waiting to get the next step in Optimus and a robotaxi. And will grow in Cybertruck deliveries. The Model Y refresh will, juice the sales once again. I think it'll be exciting. It's the sort of thing that I would even consider buying, and I'm desperately broke, but I do have a little pile of referral dollars I can use to offset it. So maybe that's something that I can do. But yeah, I don't know. I am having trouble seeing big growth in 25 apart from the recognition of deferred revenue and improved take rate. And of course, the creation of the new Shanghai Megafactory, which will be producing at scale early in the year and ramping throughout the year.
Herbert, the more Brian says he's broke, the more I think he's filthy rich. I don't know. But I don't think 2025 will be a gap year. Personally, at least not from the stock perspective. I do think as these announcements, I mean, robotaxi starting in 2025, that's no gap year to me, at least when it comes to the stock price. But here's the beautiful thing about being at all-time highs, gents, is that who cares when it happens? It's going to happen this year. Who cares if they're a little late? Who cares? We're at all-time highs. We can feel fine and comfortable with them being a little late, because guess what? Nobody's down on their investment. Everybody feels really good with their investment, or at least they should. So I think that allows people to feel more comfortable being patient, not having such a negative sentiment. And I think that makes it more fun and people more willing to be patient.
People willing to be more patient.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Gap year, or is that?
Oh,
rubbish?
no, I do not think it's a gap year. No, it's not a gap. I mean, when he said that, when Brian said that, I was interpreting him saying that what you said, fundamentals, right? Are we going to see growth? Probably what the company's guided to, 20 to 30% growth. Are we going to see, this is the year that they're building so that 2026, that's where you're going to get Cybertruck at scale. That's when you're going to get the new vehicles that they unveil this year at more scale, right? I get that part, but it's not a gap year in terms of the stock. The reason why I don't think so is because this is the year that we've all been waiting for robotaxi to appear. So, are they going to actually launch pilot, actual paid robotaxi rides in those two states? And so far, everything that they've been saying is that they're on track for that. Are they going to actually show you 500, let's say 500, maybe 1,000 bots is what they said, working in the Tesla factory? So imagine if you see 500 bots, and then are they on time with its skills and its autonomous capability? Elon was saying that in a quarter we're going to be able to show you that the bot will be able to juggle. I mean, again, it's Elon, right? So we don't know if he's exaggerating a bit or hopeful and wishing the team to be able to do it. So all this can absolutely be delayed. But this is the year that these two major businesses are making progress, and every week we see drops of new things it can do. These aren't rumors. These are things that you're actually seeing progressing towards the actual Holy Grail day. And so, yeah. Now, if those two are pushed and they appear in 2026, and 2025 is certainly a gap year.
So, go ahead, Brian.
Well, I would just clarify that I'm talking about execution on the profit and loss. I have no idea which way the stock is going. My eight ball is in the shop, and I don't know when it's coming back. So
when is it coming back?
I'll check for an update, see if I can find out, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
why is it broken in the first place? What happened? You dropped it? You threw it down. You just, how dare you?
Asked it too many questions, and they all said 2 weeks. It just kept saying 2 weeks. And then on the last one, it gave me a GFY. I don't know what that means, but apparently it's a famous Elon quote. And so I had to take it in.
Well, funny story, guys. I was at the repair shop, and I found Brian's Magic 8 Ball next to Hunter's laptop, so I took it. And when I look at it, what I see happening is I could see us hitting $500 to $600 this year if we get robotaxi launch. If we see these new vehicles come out, I think that's easy for us to see that. But what I think going to 2026, I think is the real year for the stock. I think by the end of 2026, should they get into production ramp with the Cybercab, I think we're going to see $1,000 by the end of the year. What I will make a prediction is that at the end of 2025, when they show us the 500 or whatever bots working, it will be them building the Cybercab. That will be what they're doing, because
they're not going to be building it. As Brian has got story. Well, I'm going to ask him to tell you some information about that right now.
No,
yeah, but
don't break my heart.
No, Brian is the single person right now that knows the most about the Cybercab than anyone else, because he interviewed 3-4 Tesla engineers who are directly responsible for the Cybercab. Tell him what you learned about how the Cybercab is going to be built.
Yes, please tell me everything.
I'm sorry, Herbert, you're muted. What was the question?
What?
I'm just kidding. Kidding. I was just being difficult to build suspense. The way it is designed to be built is 100% by robots, whereas we know we couldn't do that with the Model 3. We tried. But the problem is the car was the wrong car for the application. It relied on methods of manufacturing that had been employed for 100 years to build cars by humans. So when they tried to over-automate, they ran into big problems. Things like fishing wiring through the dash and through the doors. That is not a good skill for a robot to try and tackle. But if you start from scratch, if you design the car saying we are going to use robots, not humanoid robots, because if we're doing that, we might as well just use humans until they're ready. No, we want something that's ready to deploy any day. And so the whole thing has been designed to be built beginning to end with no humans involved, with the lights off in the factory. They didn't say that part, but why not? Turn the lights off. You don't need them. By existing industrial robots. And I did have a chance to talk with a robotics expert who did not want to go on camera, who confirmed that yes, if that's how they're designing it from the ground up, there is no reason it wouldn't work today.
Brian,
Yes.
I don't think you've ever whispered sexier words to me.
I
Stop.
I
Lights,
think
turn
that's
off the
true.
lights. Is that what got you
I think
excited?
that's-
Turn off the lights.
Just the no human part. Like,
Mhm.
wow.
I don't want to take this where it's gonna go. You turned you on, eh? No human part.
Nothing sexier than no
Well,
humans.
I don't need to be turned on. Lights can be off. I can be turned off. It doesn't matter. The job will get done.
There are already, I think it's a solar panel factory in China that is a lights out factory. It is literally lights out. Raw materials go in one side of the building, finished solar panels come out the other, and there are no people inside. And
Dude,
the entire
they need the
area
lights.
is-
Okay.
Okay, wait,
Well-
listen. Look. Let me be selfish here because I know Brian's got to go in about 4 minutes. Brian, what was it like in the Cybercab? Was it comfortable? Was it spacious?
yeah.
Any thought on why you won't be able to fully lay down? Is that something they thought about for like longer trips? Talk. Go.
You got it. So it is comfortable. The seat looks like a bench seat, which is great because you'd want to be able to slide across it if you want to both get in from one side, like you often do with a taxi, but it's still very comfortable. And the fact that it's more of a bench seat means getting in and out is easy. You don't have to labor to get in and out. Someone pointed out in one of the videos, I bonked my head getting in. How did that happen if it's easy? And I said, I'm holding a microphone in one hand and a camera in the other, and I still had no problem getting in and out. That's not true of very many cars. How is the legroom? Spacious. It is spacious and comfortable. Are you going to bang your knee on the infotainment? No, it's just there. And they did confirm that you will be watching movies and listening to music. And someone said, ooh, to me, that means CarPlay. I said, no, to me, it means it's already on my app. The same app that I use to summon the car has my Spotify in the account. It's already there when I rent a car or, go somewhere and use someone else's car. I've got all my stuff. So all of that is in there. It is comfortable. It is spacious. And in terms of the seat, I said, it's not going to adjust, is it? He said, it's absolutely going to adjust. It has to. NHTSA requires it because different people need to be in a different place for airbag safety. And then we're like, okay, how far can you recline? And his answer was that he could recline far enough that he could fall asleep. It's not very much distance, but I would say it's more than you got on, unless you get to comfort plus or business class. So it is not laying down reclining, but if you move the seat forward and tilt it back, it is, more comfortable than a lot of airplanes.
I love it. What about charging? So I know that there's going to be no induction charging for the phones because, or at least this is what I heard, because they don't want people to leave it behind. But my thing is, one of the places I charge my phone the most is in my car. A lot of times I'm like, oh, thank God I got in here. Let me plug in because I'm on 10% battery.
Right. I think that's something they'll have to add. But my guess would be it would be added with a cable rather than inductive so that there's a cable visible when you go to get out. But it is not there yet. For the folks who don't know, I'm going to be doing, of course, at noon, the after show where I answer questions and comments from the chat. But at 12:30, at noon 30, it will flow straight into my third and not final live stream of today about all your questions about Cybercab will be answered. We got a couple more minutes. Do you want to get in a couple more, Nick?
Well, I just want to say a few things. First of all, you've got to watch this. After this show ends, stay on the channel. You will be redirected automatically to Brian's Future Outside YouTube channel. He's going to answer questions, and then he's going to ask him anything about the Cybercab. I am just impressed. I did a show with him earlier today, and he knows everything about the Cybercab because he interviewed 3-4 engineers who are absolutely responsible for the Cybercab from Tesla, and he asked them all these questions. He's the only person that knows these answers. One big one, and I know Nick you're going to be on the other side of this. I know you're going to be wrong. Is the Cybercab going to be human driven? Can they just turn the exact vehicle and turn into a human-driven version of it?
You're asking me? The answer is absolutely
no. I'm
not.
asking Nick because I want to say.
Nick was shaking his
wrong. No,
we
Nick.
talked about this last
you're
week.
wrong.
I think no.
Yeah, you're wrong, Nick. It will not just additive steering wheel and pedal turn to a car. And Brian confirmed, and he knows exactly why this is the case. Good.
That's what I said.
I don't remember Nick taking that position, but if I get to be the favorite child this week, I'll take it. Yeah, so I'm going to leave you guys to wrap up, and everybody else I will see in about 5 minutes. Thank you.
Oh, geez. Somebody said Nick is being bullied today. Are you kidding? I'm like the one. These two gang up on me all the time. Oh.
If you guys only heard how Herbert talks to me right when we get on. Just straight to business. Nick, what's wrong with your mic? Nick, your camera. He runs a tight ship, that's for sure. Elon, watch your back. Herbert's coming for your job.
I lost my X account, Nick. I can't believe I did this. I fell for it. I triple checked to make sure that it wasn't a scam. I even looked up the website. They actually sent me a notification, a verification code on my phone. I was like, Jesus.
But
I don't know when I'm going to get it.
Give them your password?
I entered it. Now you make me sound stupid. Yes. They said I had a copyright strike on the X, and then and if I don't respond within 48 hours, they're gonna shut down my X account. And so then it's just a copyright thing, and I triple check. Anyways, I'm lost. I don't know what to do. I set up all my shows through X with all my the people. I want to ask you. I need some shows, man. I'm going on vacation on December 22nd to 28th, and I need to double up on shows next week. So, can you do some with me?
I'll do anything with you. Whatever you want, I'll do it with you.
Lights out. Get the job done.
Lights out, lights on. Sometimes you want lights on, Sometimes.
All right, this is getting weird. Nick,
we're still recording.
You always are very, I guess you're just saying what you actually believe, but you can't be predicted. I can't predict how you're going to go, right? Like right now I'm bullish. Right now I'm kind of cautious. Love that about you. That's great.
I mean, Herbert, it's not crazy, right? Like I knew Tesla was suppressed, that it was worth more than what it was. But when you've gone up almost 100% in less than 60 days, like, all right, yeah, it's like, all right,
it's going to put back.
Let's breathe for a second, and then we can continue running. But yeah, I'm with you, man. Next year, it's not a gap year. It might be a gap year in the first half, but the second half for sure is going to be explosive, I think. And then 2026 is the year. 2026 is the year where everything really comes together, and Tesla will be the biggest company in the world.
Well, did you know that Elon is now not only the richest man in the world, but richer than anybody has ever been? So his estimated net worth is now $442 billion, making him the first person in history to surpass $400 billion. Here's all the companies 6 of these companies he's the CEO of. And of course, one of the big ones is SpaceX. And what happened was Elon replied saying, can't believe this, mind blown. Because SpaceX is now valued at $350 billion because they had a sale of $1.25 billion, $185 a share. So that's how they know that he's at that cost. Not crazy?
Yeah, I don't actually agree with this. I'll give you one reason why it might be lower and why it might be a lot higher. Reason why it might be lower is we haven't settled this whole stock comp plan issue. That's kind of a hanging chat out there. But why it might be a lot higher is I guarantee you, if you were to IPO SpaceX,
Starlink,
that number would easily triple.
SpaceX or Starlink?
SpaceX.
No, of course.
Starlink's part of SpaceX. I guarantee you'd be way
they're
higher.
going to spin off Starlink and have that as IPO. I don't think he's going to IPO SpaceX anytime soon.
I know, but I wish as a credited investor, I wish I could get in there.
Yeah, but I think they'll do Starlink for sure, and I'm predicting they'll do it next year, 2025, because remember he had said that we need to wait until the revenue is stable. And that's where we're at right now, consistent revenue. So I think we're there. Starlink is ready to go.
Yeah, and that will be.
But my point with this show, with this comment right here, by the way, is people are predicting that Elon's going to have to sell Tesla stock. And no, he doesn't. he's got you know, the SpaceX is so valuable at this point. If he needed money, he could pull it from there whenever he needs to. So
Yeah, I don't think he has to. I don't think he has to sell at all.
no,
And
and even if he did, it's not going to move the stock anymore. We're now at the level where, yeah,
yeah, I mean, if there's a time for him to sell, like honestly, do it now, right? Do it when we're at these levels when nobody has. If you've held, nobody would be down. Everybody would be up. And this is time where if he sold now, you don't screw anybody over.
okay, we're going to end this stream, but stay on and you'll go to Brian's For Future Assets show and you're going to learn a lot about the Cybercab. See everybody. Bye-bye.
Cheers.